So, Raj, thank you so much for joining me at my very first ever podcast, She Rose Anyway.
I'm so excited, sweetheart. It's been a couple of years that you've had this on your bucket list, and you know me. I always say that everything happens right when it's meant to happen. When you feel that, you're in purpose and aligned with whatever that mission is, whatever that project is, whatever that initiative is, you'll do it when the time is right. But I always find that the first seed in that is to have the thought and the intention to want to do it. You had it 2 years ago, and here we are.
I know, I'm super excited and to start it off with you just means so much to me. She Rose Anyway. First of all, I want to share a little bit about what it's about. Um, I think a big part of even the concept was life happens. Like life happens for most people, life is happening to them. But for me, life happened for me. And I took all my challenges and tribulations and regardless, I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have a backup plan. I just had enough grit and confidence and knowledge to try again. So, she rose anyway, regardless of what the challenges were. And that's what the concept is. I'm really hoping to bring in a lot about, I've told you about G status, which is about God, growth, and glow. I'm looking to bring that to people because I think right now we're looking to anchor, right? And you were one of those anchors for me.
Thank you, sweetheart. A lot of people don't know your story. It's you're very private, and you like to give grace to the journey that you've had. And when you came to me and you said, like, Raj, I want to share, aspects of my life so people understand that it's not all rosy. It's not all what it is today. And I said to you that, when you have the courage to share your story in the way that it makes sense to you authentically, when you're ready to do that, I'm your girl.
I know you are. You're actually the first person that came into my life when I was ready to, kind of break the norms, break the ideologies that I was taught as a young girl. That society, kind of pushed a narrative on me. With my industry experience, being triple licensed, putting financial planning as part of my narrative, having the privilege of working with clients that I build to the 1%. That was all in my mind, but I nowhere near resembled what I wanted to do. And I remember working with you, and we'll get into the work that you do because it's so incredibly important for when I build my clients to the 1%. I realized very quickly to build the 1%, you must become the 1%.
Right.
And that doesn't mean just from a wealth perspective. It's how you walk, how you talk, how you dress. It's the full 9 yards. And I've learned that from you because when I came to you, I couldn't even look at you. Do you remember that day?
I remember it, sweetheart. Are you comfortable with me sharing a little bit about, what I saw and why I felt that, you would become the woman that you are today?
Absolutely. I'd love to hear it.
So it's
too.
really interesting because, it was a number of years ago, pre-COVID. And it's funny, we talk about life, pre and post COVID, the way we used to with 9/11, like pre and post 9/11.
Yeah.
It's so funny, and and then it's going to be, pre and post the AI world, which is
Yeah.
now, the next dimension for us. But I remember being at a masterclass that you were at, and I walked by you, and you know me, I'm an energy person. I pick up on people's energy, and I can feel when a person is not stepping into their full potential. And that's the feeling I got with you. And I remember when I spoke to you and I said to you that you're going to be the next big thing, Pam.
I remember
And you
that.
looked at me like there was something wrong with me, right? And I said,
I was dazed.
yes.
I was dazed. I was
I
really
think that
dazed.
it totally, you were like, you were like an animal in headlights.
Yep. It was like an activation code because it was what I wanted, but I didn't know how to get there. It was what I was doing, but I didn't know how to share it. Right. And then life was kind of, beating me down.
Yeah.
And I was allowing it. So when you said those words, I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's kind of what I thought I was already doing. But when I realized what that truly meant as I got better at my business, the mission, the vision, the bigger picture. I understand what that means now.
Mhm. But what a journey it's been, Pam. We're talking about 7 years,
Yeah.
7, 8 years to
Yeah.
become the woman that you have today. And the interesting thing is that when I first met you, you still haven't become the woman that I see. Like there's so much more greatness. And the reason is that, and I've seen your journey, as you know, you're constantly learning. You're constantly wanting to better yourself. You're constantly looking for answers and solutions. And every time we meet, you have another idea about something that you learned that you feel that you need to share with me because it's that next phase of evolution of your life. And I love that about you. It's the growth mindset piece of your inner workings that is truly going to make you the greatness that you have yet to step into, because today you're great.
Thank you, Raj. And I think that's also coupled with my childlike wonder, which you've seen firsthand.
Yes.
Not everybody's seen that. You know, every single thing is a privilege for me. A privilege to even record today, a privilege to have my company, a privilege to, step into whatever I'm stepping into. So when I started looking at every single thing, instead of saying, I have to go to that meeting, I have to meet with that client, I started saying, I get to go to that meeting. I get to meet with that client. Because when we look at life from a perspective of privilege, we're a lot more in tune with our authentic self.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We've always talked about, I've always said to you, my goal is to be authentic.
Yeah.
Because the highest frequency that the humans can get to is authenticity. At authenticity, there's wealth. At authenticity, there's love. At authenticity, there's every single thing that we possibly could want. So that's what I'm here to do. Because She Rose Anyway is about that. It's about getting to your true authentic self.
Right. And
Right?
the other thing that I love about this concept that you shared with me, Pam, is that everyone has a different ground zero, right? And we're not here to judge what yours is. We're not here, because people that have less than criticize people that have more than, who are looking to better themselves.
Right, but that's societal, right, Raj?
Yes,
We
but
talk about this all the
absolutely.
time that, we're fundamentally set up to fail.
Yes.
Like social media, we watch it and we think, man, I don't have that. But what if those things are put in front of us to say, man, that's what I want, and get really good at what we want?
Right.
So I think that's the
It's
biggest.
perception, right?
It is.
It's
It really
perception. When if you look at, like, you use the example of social media, if you look at all these people on social media that you look up to, and rather than criticizing it, or rather than saying that they've had opportunities that you haven't, look at it as an opportunity for you.
Absolutely.
Look at what is possible for you, because you're here for you. And until you don't step into you, you can't be there for anything else in this world. And those people that compensate in not doing for themselves by doing for others are giving a much less version of themselves to others.
Right.
You never want to be that person. You want to be the best for you, so therefore you can be the best for others.
Well, you know what I really want to share with that is sometimes we think the best of us is, getting to the gym every day, doing this, like really kind of being disciplined. But maybe that's not you.
Right.
It's about being what really resonates with you.
Right.
I know a lot of people that I have dealt with along the journey. Well, you've been through such a hard time. Can you tell me your journey? No, I'm not here to share what's happened to me. I'm here to show you the progress, the growth, because I can sit energetically in what happened to me, or I can choose a different vibration and say, I don't want to sit in that. That wasn't meant for me to sit in.
Right.
Because the actual awareness that I deserve more is exactly why I'm focused on where I need to be.
I love what you just shared there, Pam, because we are inundated by content out there in the entire kind of universe, where people need to get on their soapbox and they need to share their challenges with people. It's almost like they're using it as therapy, right? But it's all getting dumped on us,
Right.
and a lot of us don't know how to kind of tune in or tune out of all that content that is like a barrage coming towards us. It's an avalanche, right? Which puts people in a very dangerous position, because overconsumption of information, not being able to process the information that makes sense for you. It's like you think that narrative that someone's having should be yours, or you feel that narrative that someone's having, why is it not how you live?
I think
it creates confusion for people. And I think that what people need to realize, and a bit of the work that I do, Pam, you know this because you've done this work with me, is who are you? Why are you? And what is your plan for you?
that's right. You asked me these questions. And I think the biggest difference, Raj, is when I looked at things that happened to people, I didn't associate myself with the problem. I associated myself with what's the solution. Because we can, a lot of people that are sharing their story, they're like, I had this situation happen to me, and I'm going to share it because everyone's going to come to me and ask me about it. But what if I told you every single person's blueprint is different and how we actually consume that problem is different? So you may think you're going to motivate, and you will, but you will also demotivate. And what I want to do is empower the ones that are watching to say, look, how you choose to view that connection can be from a place of, oh, this happened to me too, or wow, this happened to her as well, and I'm going, or him as well, and I'm going to change it just like they did.
Right.
It is really truly our perception.
Absolutely.
And I've brought you on, I'm sharing this perspective because everybody thinks I'm wealth everything. Financial planning. I can tell you, in this country, when we look at financial planning, we say we're going to build wealth. Do we even ask the person who's sitting in front of us if they have a healthy financial plan? So we're being led by those who may or may not be part of the program themselves.
Right. I think that the biggest thing that I've learned when it comes to wealth is people actually don't have a all-encompassing definition of what that word actually even means. And I feel that that's something that what the financial does really, really well. There's a very 360 holistic approach that you guys have where you look at all aspects of what wealth could actually mean. Wealth isn't financial only. Wealth isn't well-being only. It is a beautiful individualized cocktail of what makes sense for what you're looking to accomplish for your well-being.
Right. Yeah. And a big difference with what the financials, we don't tell you what your financial goals need to be. We don't. How can we tell you that you want to retire at 65 when some Canadians today don't even work? Like they don't have traditional work structures.
Right.
So we give we empower our clients to say, this is what we want. How do we make it happen? How do we effectively make it happen? And Raj, the reason I put this together, again, I really want to highlight, none of this financial planning, WTF, could not exist if I didn't get my belief system and what I was trying to achieve, but also the belief system of me, what's important to me.
Right.
You were my confidence coach for many years. Remember when I was like, what's a confidence coach? I don't know if I need one.
Right.
I couldn't even look up at you when you told me I was going to be the next big thing. I was terrified of being called out, and I had this feeling of like, how dare she stand out? Till today, I'm here like, yeah, I'm here to stand out, but I'm here to also change the narrative of those around me. And I think that's the greatest difference.
I think you said something really fundamental there, Pam, which especially women, especially people from marginalized communities or maybe from socio-economic, environments that may not be as positive as, they would hope. I think that the core differentiating factor is it doesn't always come down to competence, right? It comes down to confidence. Right? You can have all the confidence, all of the, like you did, you had all of the certifications under your belt. Like very few people have all the certifications you have, but you didn't have the confidence in yourself to think, I'm worthy of owning what I've accomplished here with these certifications. And now I want to go help those people that don't know how to do it. It was the confidence piece that was missing.
Absolutely.
It was you lacked the understanding that only you can create the greatness that you're looking to accomplish with all of the things that you have at your disposal. You had done all the work there, but what was missing is your understanding that you deserved this, that you deserve to help yourself and you deserve to help others. And that was the break that needed to happen with the work that you and I were doing.
Well, I think, we talk about, like you said, marginalized women. I think it's men too. To be honest, I see it across the board. I think we as society have come to a place where we actually fundamentally believe that we don't deserve a certain life. And if we want that 1% life, if we want to be that multimillionaire, we want to be that billionaire, well, shame on you. Well, why
Right.
can I not want that for me?
Right.
If truly human experience is to experience life to its truest form, and that is what I feel that experience should look like, regardless if I'm a man or a woman, then why can't I have that, regardless of where I start from? This is why we have so many success stories that are like, oh, they started from nothing to, from nothing, rags to riches. The difference is, Raj, is your work, confidence, to
Right.
believe that we actually are worthy. And it brings me to a point of, and what I started really focusing on is, if I believe something is out there, it's in my mind because I am worthy of it.
Right. And if it's been done already in the world by someone else,
Mhm.
then why can it not be done by you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I started WTF, you know how confusing it was because I didn't have a roadmap. Nobody did it. Nobody actually had where the mortgage, the financial planner, the realtor, the lawyer, the accountant were actually in the same email putting together their expertise to build clients to the 1%. We do that at What the Financial.
Right.
That wasn't an easy ask. I went through 5 brokerages. Finally, I landed with Remax Millennium. I went through 7 mortgage brokerages, finally landed with Lending Hub. My personal financial planning designation, my H3 international financial planning designation. I'm doing my CFP. Why am I doing that? Because I realized that we're so just kind of letting life happen to us.
Hmm.
The minute you choose that life happens for you, I bet you're going to go out there and you're going to make life happen for you. You're going to change the way every single day looks.
And that looks different for everybody. Like everybody has a different hang up. Everyone has a different definition of imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has different resources at their disposal. So I feel that the other part of this is when you do the comparison game, understand if the person you're comparing yourself to is coming from the same ground zero that you came from. And if they're not, right, their methodology is not going to work for you.
No.
You've got to find the most closest example of your ground zero in order to be able to use them as a mentor. Like, understand what a mentor is, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
mentors, there's consultants, there's coaches, there's therapists. They all have a different focus and they all have a different job to do. Decide what it is that you want, see what's missing, and go find people that can help you fill the jigsaw puzzle pieces of your life. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the other thing. We're always afraid to ask people for help because, we're under this assumption that it makes us less than or it makes us dumb for some reason.
Yeah, we're
For
afraid of
me, the dumbest,
vulnerability.
yeah,
Yeah.
for me, the dumbest thing you can do is to not ask, is to not find solutions, is to not surround yourself with people that can do everything better than you. That's what I do, right? I know the one thing I'm brilliant at, and it's the only thing I do. My entire team does everything else because they are brilliant at what they do. And I don't need to check their work. I don't need to, ask them when things are going to get done. They are way above and beyond my capacity of understanding their scope of work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of them that I get to do the tiny little thing that I'm brilliant at. That's another thing I feel that people need to do. We feel like we need to do everything, Pam. We don't. Like, I am a client of yours as well, right? When it comes to the financial side of things, I've learned so much about wealth that I never understood. And if I'd have gotten this advice when I started my journey back 30 years ago, I don't even know where I would be today. And just in a short span of a couple of years of working with you, my life is in a very different place when it comes to the wealth space. And that was the one thing that I was always scared to ask about because I truly felt dumb.
Well, Raj, first of all, thank you. You know I never share my clients. We are the only company that takes 0 testimonials, no Google reviews, because I have a firm belief. When you're really good at it, you're not trying to prove it.
Right. And
And
you're referral based, sweetheart.
I am referral based and I haven't advertised to the true essence that I know I can because I'm one person. And for
Right.
me, it is quality over quantity any day. So giving my clients that experience, and you know how much I cover. It is, it's
White
from,
glove. It's a white glove service,
it is a
Pam.
white glove service. I mean,
Yes.
we're constantly growing. We're constantly creating, even for real estate, we want to create a white glove service. I'm working on that now
Yeah.
because I feel like my clients need to feel like they're truly cared for. You know, people ask me, what business are you? You have your license here, you have your license here, you have your, I'm in the business of relationships
Right.
because when I leave this world, they will remember me for my art. And that
Right.
is important to me.
You know, that's really interesting because what you do is actually art. It's
It
like
is.
you help people create the masterpiece of their life through wealth. So
Yes.
let's share that a little bit, Pam. Let's talk a little bit about what you do that's different from what other people do in the wealth space, because that's the piece that I think is really fundamental here.
Well, first of all, I found you. Okay. Financial planning is a very black and white world.
Mhm.
You tell the client when to retire. You create a plan. The banks do it all the time. Okay, Mr. Client or Miss Client, what would here's retirement at 65. You're going to live till 90. Well, Canadians are living longer. I don't want to work a day past 55. Now I got to give these premises, but your plan didn't take that into consideration.
Mhm.
And a big part of my white glove service is that it's not one glove fits all. Everyone is unique, just as we are unique blueprints, we're unique financial plans. So that's really key for my business. So finding the right person was key. Then building upon my confidence was key. And what I do now, which is very different than what anyone does, I don't have quotas. I'm not trying to meet a certain quota of deals.
Mhm.
I put my clients at the center of the plan. My clients and I co-create a plan that they know they're more likely to follow because guess what? They created it with me.
Right.
It's not me telling them you have to save $1,000. It's me telling them, tell me what you want to achieve and let me tell you the numbers that make sense that allow you to do that. We take it a step further.
Mhm.
I've created Budgeting 360. Budgeting 360 is about, how much money do you make? How much do you spend? We take into consideration savings, RSPs, TFSAs, part of your expenses. We take into consideration percentage of income in each category. We actually look at how much of your income is being expensed on fixed costs, variable costs, um, vices,
Right.
right? Because if I say you need to save $1,000 and you say, great, I don't know how to do that. You cannot fathom how to do that because it is scientifically proven that when we're in financial stress, generally people who don't have their budgeting control are in financial stress, they lose 11% of their IQ. So what we're fundamentally set up, and again, budgeting is a concept since the 1800s, we know you're in financial stress, you're not going to be able to figure it out, but figure out how you're going to save $1,000. We're not failing because people are not, they're scared. We're failing because people are not informed.
Right.
People are not getting the right information. They're not being able to have the chance and work with the professional that's going to make the greatest difference for them. That are going to say, hey, I love that you want to do all the things that society tells us to do, but what do you want?
Mhm.
So I think the biggest difference for what the financial is, we always find the right partners, whether it's a confidence coach, whether it's the right mortgage company or brokerage, along with the real estate company, whatever it is, whatever the partners are. Our insurances and asset partners. My goal was to find the best of the best because to become, again, to be building the 1%, I had to become the 1%, but then I also had to work with the 1%.
Right.
So it all kind of started making alignment in my mind to say this all has to make sense. And it leads me to my biggest motto, which is how I do one thing is how I do everything, and Pam Satia does everything with excellence for her clients.
Well, I can attest to that
Thank
definitely.
you.
Absolutely. And a lot of there'll be people out there who are like afraid to speak to someone like you, Pam, because they truly do not understand the world of finance, wealth, and budgeting or any of that. And they've gotten themselves into a bit of a situation, so they're scared to share that, right? And what I love about you is none of that is factored into how you communicate with them. You're there to solve a problem that they want solving, and you do everything in your power to make that happen. And that's what I love about what you do.
Thank you. So,
Like, you don't get that feeling when you go to banks. Like, we all know this. We've all had these experiences at banks where you go and they say, well, you shouldn't have done this that way. Or, maybe you just want to sell the house and start again. Like, these are the types of advice, that I've heard people have gotten from banks because they work within a very narrow, regulations, bandwidth. The great thing about working with you that I found personally is that it doesn't matter what the bandwidth is. You have so much diverse skill set and, partners that you'll find this right cocktail of solutions for whatever situation a person's in. So if that's your barrier, if your barrier is you're afraid that you've messed it all up, right? I can't think of a better person that can help you than Pam.
Thank you. Well, Raj, what's funny is I can put my clients at any bank. Banks are a wonderful thing. We talk about how much money they make. And we're generally upset. They make so much money. They're charging me fees. Well, respectfully, a bank is a corporation. The absolute goal of a corporation is to turn a profit. The banks are what keep this country continuously growing. I'm not here to say one way or the other. What I'm saying is, regardless of where you bank, I create a plan that works within the parameters, again, of what works with you. Why are you getting advice that's maybe not tailored to your goals? Because they have banking products that they're addressing.
Right.
I am addressing your life goals.
Right.
Goals that goals that you've told me are important to you. And how do I navigate? I realized when I was working at the bank, I've had 20 years at the bank. I realized that when I was helping my clients put money away or they're saving for a house, they would ask me questions that they need to ask their realtor or their lawyer or their accountant or their mortgage company, or which they would ask our mortgage agent. And I'm like, you're going to all these people just to figure out one thing? Who's your North Star? Who are you asking? Who are you trying to figure this out with? Well, my financial advisor said this, and I have the money there. And then I got to go it was just a lot of work. Like, I got tired of listening. And I was like, if I'm tired of listening, you're going through fight or flight. Okay, there's something wrong. You have no idea how many times I'd be sitting in my office thinking, of course, it's financial. I literally was like, who's creating your financial plan? Who's navigating for you? Because there's so many changes. There's government programs, there's bank programs, there's different ways to build wealth. Like, who's helping you? Who's actually taking that initiative?
So really, there's a lot available. We just don't know what it is and how to tap into it.
Yeah, the problem of plenty, right? It is a problem of plenty. Mm-hmm. But you said something. People are fearful of asking. Okay, well then understand that when you're fearful of asking how you're going to grow, you are confirming, you are solidifying your belief that you deserve less. Mm-hmm. So choose which one's more fearful. Because to me, fear is the absence of belief. To me, fear is the absence of self-belief that the universe will provide, that my partners will provide, that my clients will receive. So for me, I don't choose to live in fear, because if Pam Satia back then decided to live in fear, you wouldn't see the woman she is today.
Right. Fear is a very interesting concept as well, Pam, because you can either use it to stop yourself, or you can use it to step forward and just do it anyway. Like she rose anyway.
I agree. And I read this one thing, and again, whether you have a belief in a being, of a God, whatever it is, this resonated with me, that fear is the practice of atheism. That doesn't resonate with my beliefs.
Right.
And that then allowed me to take my fears and say, no, not today. This is not the way I want to live. And so I got so good at believing, because I learned that from you. Like, remove the noise, remove the beliefs, remove the doubts that you have. Just recently I realized that I deserve not only what I'm doing for others, but I deserve it for myself.
Of course you do.
My life has been a sum of, I always say, nothing short of a miracle. Most people say everything's God's plan. I believe I am God's plan. Mm-hmm. When we start solidifying and feeling like we're connected, there's a divine purpose for each and every single purpose, and what their dharma is, what their life's work is, it changes your mindset. It changes why you're here.
Right.
You
said something I think is really important that I'd like to kind of, just highlight here, Pam, and that is, people look at life very black and white, right? Like, fear is something that I need to step away from. Abundance is something that I need to step towards. Mm-hmm. But that's incorrect, because it's about the outcome. Now, if the abundance that you're in is causing negativity for you, then that version of abundance is not serving you. If the fear that you're, refusing to step into is your only way of making your life better, why are you not stepping into that fear? So it's not the thing, it is what that thing can do for you is what you should be looking at. So don't look at abundance, don't look at fear. These are just two of many examples of life, right? If the fear is going to help you create a better life, then I would take fear every single day of the week. If the abundance is going to create anarchy and chaos and take away my, peace, then that version of abundance is not the one I want. So set your intentions with words that are very specific about what you're looking for your life to look like. And whether it's fear or whether it is abundance or any of these other, different constructs, don't look at it. Look at if it can take you where you're looking to go.
Right. And Raj, what this really goes back to is know what your drivers are. What motivates you? What makes you happy? Like for me, when my client wins, or our business practices, we only win when our clients win. We only win when our partners win. Why? Because I firmly believe that a sale, in layman terms, a sale is actually the greatest complement of excellent service. But we do it the other way. We do the sales, we recommend, we commend people for their sales. We're like, wow, that was excellent. Then we're like, why didn't excellent service come out? Banks do it all the time. You get these surveys. Well, yeah, I opened the account, but the experience, not so much. I focus on the experience. I focus on making sure that I understand what drives my client, because I'm not here to push you to the 1%. You got to want it yourself.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to be, I'm your girl.
Right.
But if that's not what you want to be, if you want to sit in a perspective where this is my life, this is where I want it to be, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to push you to be that. But I had to get really good at understanding what my drivers are and then establishing my drivers for my clients and saying, okay, how do I streamline this? Because I think we're so into a society where we have to do something and be married at a certain time and have kids by a certain time and have a house by a certain time. Well, you know what? It's all failing. People are changing. Lives are changing. Dynamics are changing. So why wouldn't your financial plan?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And people think that life is parallel or like, I'm going to do this when this works out. The greatest asset we have, Raj, is time.
Right. Is today.
Yeah, it's time. Whatever time we have right now. No one's guaranteed tomorrow. So why do you not want to be the 1%? Why do you not want to be 1% better? Why do you not want to focus on your growth? Right? We as humans, we thrive when we are growing. But understand, growth isn't always comfortable. My growth has come from some of the most difficult, soul-crushing experiences, I could say, of many people's lives. And I have always chose to take that challenge, feel my progress, and focus on positivity and power to empower others while I empowered myself.
You know what's really important here, Pam, is that, you have had that journey that you're talking about. Is there any aspect of that journey that you feel comfortable sharing that has been soul crushing, just so that people can identify with what the level of that could have looked like?
Well, I'll tell you.
And I know you're very private.
I am.
And you don't like to, use the things that happened to you to amplify any negativity in the future. Like, I know how you function, but just so that, anyone out there that's watching or listening, especially women, especially people from marginalized communities that feel like everything is in their way, so therefore they cannot move forward. Is there anything that you feel that you could share that may just be that ember of light that they need right now?
Well, I'll tell you something funny that should tell you everything. My sister one day said to me, she goes, you've been through it all, except dying. So whatever that means to you, been there, done that, conquered it. And that's why I can say she rose anyway. The reason I'm private about it is not because I'm afraid of anyone knowing my story. It's because I believe energetically I do not wish to put any power into what happened to me because it happened for me and I'm moving forward.
Right.
And that's the story.
Right.
It's not that I'm afraid of it. It's not that I'm shying from it. It's just I have really aligned myself with my divine purpose, with my dharma to help others. There's not a challenge that I cannot assist with. I'm not a fix-it-all. I'm here to empower you, and whatever that looks like. If I don't know, I'll look at you and I'll tell you I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Right. Because, like you said, asking the right question is important.
So I think what's important, a big takeaway for anyone out there is maybe the focus shouldn't be on you feeling like you need to share everything about what you've gone through. Maybe what you need to do is identify that it happened, what it did to you, and how far removed are you from who you want to be from that experience, and go get help, whatever that help needs to look like, to do the first step towards the version of you that you need to be. And that first step could even be, I don't know what that is. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Also.
Realization. So if I had to go to a therapist, and I didn't, by the way, I would need a therapist in every single category because I'd have to work on that. So what I did was I wrote down every single terrible thing that happened to me. Every single terrible thing that I can firmly say no one on this planet knows. And I looked at every single terrible thing that happened to me and I said, how and why? From a learning perspective, what was I supposed to learn? What was I supposed to learn?
Because it's the only way you can stop repeating it is that knowledge right there.
Right. And I wasn't going to sit and dwell on what happened. I wanted to make a change because I am not, I'm not an author that wants to write my story from a place of pain and I conquered this pain. I want to be the author that said she rose anyway and created such a difference, not only for herself, because we can all do that, but she did it for others. And I think that's the legacy I want to leave. That's the narrative I want to leave, and it's important. My legacy building days started with the fact that I am the daughter of, my dad, Satpal Singh Sethia, and Ravi Kumar. Those two have been stellar. And I've seen them struggle because of whatever narratives we had in the community. I'm a little too much all the time. I'm bold. I'm out there. No, I'm perfect. I'm perfect for being Pam Sethia. I am what I am. Right. And I took that narrative and I just became better at being me. Like Priyanka Chopra said once, somebody told her, I want to be like you. And she's like, I'm already doing me. You be the best version of you. Yeah. And that hit home with me.
Yeah.
Because it's true. You're made. Your blueprint is separate. You are who you are. To just be the best version of you.
It's really interesting that you brought her up because many years ago, I did a cover story for Anokhi magazine with her, and she also came down on our 10th anniversary to, be honored at our awards show here in Toronto. And when I interviewed her, and I says that, what is it that you want? Like when you look back at your life at the end of it, what do you want to have said that you have accomplished? Do you know what she said?
Mm-hmm.
That I'm undeniable.
That's beautiful.
And that really sat with me. And 7 years later, I was having a conversation with her and interviewing her for Matrix, when she came in Matrix. And I says that, you know what you said to me all those years ago? And she laughed and she goes, oh my God, what did I say to you, Raj? Mm-hmm. And I said, you said that you wanted to be undeniable. That's exactly who you are today. And, and what was it? She put the word out there. It's as simple as that. She put the word out there. She made it real.
Yeah.
Instead of keeping it hidden away and shying away from what she wanted. Like, who is she that, why does she think that she should be undeniable? Because she believed it.
Yeah.
And she became it. And that is the only way. It really is sometimes, Pam, like, some people just get way too above themselves and feel like they have to do all kinds of things to change their life. From the time that I've spent with you, right? It's always been those tiny little steps, every single conversation that you've gone away, and that's the other thing that I want to share with everyone is you can have any coach that you want. You can have the greatest coach in the world. But if you're not doing the work that is needed to be done outside of that 1 hour that you spend with them, and then you have the rest of the week, then you will not accomplish anything. And and that's the thing. I pick the people that I work with based off of one thing and one thing only, Pam. And you know what that is? Outside of whether I can help them, is are they willing to do the work to help themselves? And even if they mess it up, right, it's irrelevant. The point is that they want to change and that they're willing to do whatever it takes, you know, and whether it's big, bold steps like some people, or whether it's tiny little baby steps like it was with you, right? That is fundamentally the only way I'll ever work with someone, is if that they can put themselves first.
Well, it's funny because that's part of my program, isn't it? Do you want this?
Right.
Because I can't make you go to work every day.
Right.
I can't make you want a certain goal. I can't make you invest in something and then you come back to me a month later and say, I don't want to do this.
Right.
You got to be so sure on what you want in terms of
It's
your
a partnership,
financials.
right, Pam?
It is a partnership.
It's a partnership. So the work that you're doing as the expert you are, the work that I'm doing as the expert I am, right, that's just half the work. The other half of the work is on the other side. You are setting yourself up to fail no matter how qualified the expert is that you're working with if you're not doing your part of that partnership.
Right. And that's just it. Same thing with working out. When I started my journey with working out, my trainer, he's fantastic. You know, I worked with IB Trophy for so long and it was great. But if I wasn't doing the work, the results weren't there. I want you, you know, I tell my clients all the time, like, look at it as your physical journey. Right. And it's true. If you look at the ones that are successful, every single thing is in alignment. Why? Because we think, like, you know, what I find is layman terms, we think, when I get wealthy, I'm going to get the best trainer. When I get wealthy, I'm going to have the best regime. Well, what if you had to get into the vibrancy and the frequency of doing that before you could reach it?
Right.
Like, you have to be 100% in everything every day.
Yeah.
I think the biggest differentiator between success, it's one word in my mind, and it's called discipline.
Right.
A discipline rooted in the firm belief that you know who you are, what you want, and at the end of the day, you're willing to do that thing which will get you there closer and sooner.
I love that, Pam, and I'll tell you why I love it, because, you know, your life is already whatever it is that you think it is. So whether you think it's not, or whether you think it is, whether you think it is abundantly positive, whether you think it is like the opposite of that, it is. So if you don't have the life that you want, but you are taking the steps from your ground zero, one by one, right? That future version of you is waiting for you to get there, right? Who is she? He? What do they look like? How do they speak? What kind of lifestyle do they have? What have they learned? What are they doing with it? Right? Yeah. You know, and that's also something I do with my clients is I get them to do that exercise, is right? In the most vibrant, fullest description, I want you to describe your highest self.
Mm-hmm. You know, one thing I want to add to that, and it's coming to me as I'm kind of thinking it, for those that are struggling right now, and there are many struggling in their finances, in their love life, in their careers, in their whatever it is, when you become so sure of who you are and what you're here to do, understand there will be a point in your life where you're not going to think of abundance as, am I there or not? You're going to understand that there was a version of you that was nowhere near what you're living today, and you're going to start living in gratitude. Shukr. You're going to say, thank God. Thank God I'm here. Thank God.
You're already paying forward where you haven't yet gotten to.
Right. But there is a line, Raj. Like, when I look at my life, I'm like, there was a point in my life, this part of my life wasn't working. I was not working. I was not functioning. I was not disciplined. I was not organized. I was not the best version of myself physically, mentally, emotionally.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah, I know, you know. You've watched me cry. You've watched me fail. You've watched me.
Shall I tell you the failure that I found in you in the beginning
Absolutely.
wasn't failure in the sense of failing. It was in the sense of not trying.
Yes. Yes. I agree. I didn't try because I didn't know what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
When I started with the financial, I was like, the banks already do this. Mortgage brokers are already there. Real estate agents are already there. Who the hell is going to want to work with me? But then when I realized that I could be the one that crafts the art that builds wealth, brings them there.
And that you can actually decipher all of these resources you're talking about, banks, insurance companies, all this stuff that's available. We don't know how to put that together, Pam. We as a society have no clue what we're doing, right?
Right.
So that is the superpower that you bring to your What the Financial clients. I know that because I've lived it.
Thank you, Raj. And you know what? I'm not saying that I'm not driven by wealth and growth. Of course I am.
We all are.
We all are. And I think the first thing is being aware of that, being very open with that. That's key. And when you establish that for yourself, that you actually believe there's a life that you want to live, you're not going to be afraid of asking the questions because you're going to know you deserve it and you don't know the answer.
Yeah. And that bridge between you realizing what you want and you knowing that you deserve it could be a small bridge, it could be a massive bridge. But that is a journey you have to take. So if you can do it by yourself, do it. If you can't, find someone that knows how to take you, not like a one size fits all. I don't believe in that. Take you and your individual circumstances to your individual goal and future plan for yourself. Find it. It's out there.
Yeah, I think also a big part of like what I've done for myself, like I knew I want to be a expert in the financial industry to whatever capacity I am now. I know the future holds a lot more. I'm open for it. I'm ready for it. But I also wanted to always establish this feeling of being connected to my purpose, being connected to source, being connected to what was important to me. And you know, whether I tried everything. I tried Reiki, I tried astrology, I tried, working with you. I tried yoga, Pilates, bodybuilding, like whatever it was. But the thing is, I tried every single resource available to me in order to get so good at what was working for me.
Right.
Most people are like, give me the blueprint. There's no blueprint.
There isn't.
There really isn't. You're different. I'm different. This is why the blueprint at the banks doesn't work for clients. Because they're like, well, that doesn't fit me. I don't want to work that long. Or I don't want to be, I don't know if I'm going to live till 90. I might live till 105. Imagine going to a client and being like, congratulations, your plan was till 90. You're 92 now. You have no money. I don't want to be that person.
Right.
Right? And this is why Canadians, you'll see a lot of Canadians that are like, we're older, we're retired. And they're struggling. They're depending on CPP, old age security, and CPP, if you have an RSP, there's clawbacks. So now whatever money you are getting that you work so hard to save so you could have a good retirement, now you have clawbacks on the government support, the taxes that you paid into that was supposed to give you that. Like people don't understand how these things work.
No, none of us do. But what about those of us who are entrepreneurs, who are self-employed?
Oh, well, I can tell you this, taxation is in your favor. However, how you use it, how you structure it is key. I think the big challenge that entrepreneurs have, they're busy working in their business. Not on their business, in their business. And then they get to on their business. Where does taxation and financial planning fit in? Because to me, what's really...
Well, I feel that should be something that you figured out before you even get started.
Generally.
If in the ideal world.
In the ideal world.
So if you're someone that is starting your company, like that should be one of the first few steps. Right?
Right, absolutely. But here's the thing. We're not in an
Not
idealistic
always,
world.
yes.
And we're not. And then when we stick on to these idealisms that we think things should be this way, we decide to do what?
Nothing.
Right. So it's funny. I was speaking to somebody this morning and they're like, what are you doing for your birthday? I'm like, I want to do everything. I want to eat everything. I'm excited for life. So I decided to do nothing. What? What do you mean? I said, well, because I want to do everything. I don't know what the right first step is. My problem is I don't know what joy looks like. I have childlike wonder. But I'm like, what do I want to do? What? You asked me that question? I'm excited. Tell me. That's generally how life works. You got to know what you want.
Yes.
You got to be able to say, I want this, and watch the universe, the people in your life, the partners in your life. Everyone will sing to that tune to make it happen for you. But on the belief that you deserve it and you know what you want.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting, Pam, because you'll notice all kinds of people that were in your life, all of a sudden, the universe removes them.
Yep. I'm actually in my phase of my life where, yeah, I'm
Right.
onto a new journey.
And then all of a sudden, you meet all kinds of new people
Yeah.
that you weren't even looking for.
Didn't even
but
know
you
they
were-
existed.
but you actually were looking for.
Yeah.
And life, the dynamicism of life just changes.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen to me so many times in my life, Pam, and I wait for it. Different chapters of my life, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? I'm stepping into the unknown. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I just know that I've got it.
You know what a big change for me on that was? There's only one thing we're all guaranteed. Do you know what that is, Raj?
Death?
Yeah. So if we know the final destination, enjoy the journey.
Right.
Figure it out. Constantly grow. Focus. Because if that's the only thing guaranteed, I want to do everything excellent now.
Right.
I want to experience it all now.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that I come from a place of distaste and not feeling like enough, but it also comes from a place of, wow, I get to experience this. I get to live this. It's a very fine balance, and it works in your finances, it works in your personal health, it works in your relationship. But I think right now, as Canadians, what we need across the globe, what we need is just absolute awareness that life really does happen for us to learn and grow and thrive.
Right.
And find your people, whatever that looks like. If it's your, if it's your spiritual world that needs alignment, if it's your physical world, if it's your financial world, whatever it is, find that alignment. And understand that alignment will continue to grow. People will continue to shift as you grow. Growth is uncomfortable. It's not always pleasant. We only think of growth like I went from $100 to $100,000. That's growth. Well, I'll tell you the story in between is hard.
Only, it's interesting because from my experience and from the experience of like the many, many people that I've worked with, Pam, is growth is always uncomfortable. It's
Yes.
never pleasurable.
No. And lotus, where do they grow?
In the mud.
Yeah. So, when we start looking at those things, there's a lot of beauty and lessons in the world around us. And we just got to look and really sit with ourselves and say, what lesson was I supposed to learn and how does it help me now? If you're struggling with, whether it's somebody struggling with gambling, somebody struggling with, infidelity, struggling with not finding the right person or having children that are on the wrong path, sometimes you'll be like, well, I don't know what to ask. I don't know what to do. But what if you realigned yourself and said, look, what am I supposed to learn? Not saying it's easy, and it sounds very easy, but ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn and how do I change it? Because we have two choices in life. We get to continue on the path or say, not today.
Right.
I have a keyword that I always use when I'm not in the mood, when I know that I've had enough. My answer will always be not today.
Right.
And when I say not today, everything shuts down because I'm not here to have that conversation because I'm not energetically, emotionally, or physically in alignment to receive whatever you're going to give me. Right? So just really look at your life from a holistic perspective and say, what's not working? What do I want to focus on? And what I realize when you are looking at physical, emotional, spiritual, financial alignment, partnership alignment, when one thing's not working, I bet you none of it's working.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
Right? It's not one is working and that, no, you could have a lot of money and your relationships are failing, you're not healthy, and you have a lot of money. Well, do you enjoy that money by yourself, not feeling well? No. So look at everything. Look at it from a holistic, be a balanced, holistic approach of a human being,
Right.
of who you are.
Right. And there really is more help available in today's era than there ever has been in the past because everything's out there. There is someone that has the answer for you. You got to do the work to find that.
Right, but I also feel like a credit reform program that we have, people are struggling with their credit bureaus, happens all the time. And they think it's such a, they'll pay all these $2,500 fees and the company will change it. It's very simple. There's a simple few rules. Figure it out. There's people that are struggling with a lot of debt, unsecured debt. We think it's the end of the world. I'm never going to get out of this. Of course it feels like that. 20%, 19.99% compounding interest rate. Whatever you borrow multiplies into double in over 4 years. Yeah, it feels like a never-ending struggle. However, there are programs. There are companies that have partnered with the government of Canada to give you relief. Well, it's going to impact my credit. Well, mental health, your physical comfort, that's already being impacted. We're always looking at numbers. We're not looking at the fact that everything else is being impacted. That everything else is, I always say invest in the best version of yourself in your life. Or understand that life will make you invest in medicine, will make you invest in challenges, in therapy, because you're gonna spend your money. We're not here to take our money
Either
elsewhere.
way,
There's no
yeah.
teller upstairs that's saying, "Hey, thanks for bringing the check." It is truly the sum of whatever you're gonna experience here. So when we ask our clients our goals, we don't ask them how many houses do you want. Tell me the experiences you want.
Right.
I always
What
say
does your
this
lifestyle look like for you?
for you.
Yeah.
Because there might be somebody who's like, listen, the only problem I want is where to park the yacht. And then there might be somebody who's like, I just want to have 100,000 in the bank. And that's okay. Be comfortable with what your goals are.
Yeah.
Be unapologetically comfortable with what your goals are. And, I look forward to working with those that really feel that I can make that difference for them.
Absolutely, Pam. What an interesting conversation. I know that it's probably going to hit home with a lot of people. What do you feel that you'd like to close out with?
Well, here's what I'll say. Like I said numerous times in this podcast, life happens for you. Understand that. Not to you. People say, why me? Well, why not you? If you are meant for greatness, life will happen to you. Right? Until you learn it happened for you. That's how you achieve greatness. Understand you can't do it alone. Whether it's a belief in a God or a being or an energy, or it's a person that you turn to, find your North Star, make it happen, and move 1% better. And, one thing that I heard at one of my events that I went to, they said, we're always talking about what our ancestors did. Like we're descendants of so-and-so. And we're descendants of our parents who are working so hard. But we always forget that we are also going to be the ancestors of those after us. Having that realization changes the game, because that means that you need to put in everything into place so that you can be that ancestor. That ancestor did something really well for us. We are now in the 1%. We are now building a legacy beyond. And so in closing, I just want to say, take those lessons. I mean, hopefully this podcast has given you perspective that I always say, don't focus on the challenges. Those are there. Those are opportunities. I don't even call them challenges. My whole life, I had so many learning opportunities, and move forward. Focus on where you want to be. If it's financial growth, I like to think I'm the girl for that. But keep in mind, not everybody who succeeds has a trust fund or has a backup plan or has, somebody handing it to them. So don't focus on those people that did. Understand there's people who didn't have that, and they had the confidence, the grit, the perseverance, the vision, the confidence, like I said, to work with someone like you to say, you know what? I'm going to rise anyways.
She rose anyway.
Anyway. Thank you, Raj, for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, my love.